Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. The headlines. Former CSPR chairperson predicts Zambia risks meeting SDGs on poverty reduction. President HH acknowledges that Zambia and Africa's successful story needs unity. Court dismisses BOWMAN LUSAMBO'S application to cite UPND youths for contempt. In international news, Vietnam develops new African swine fever vaccine. And in sports, volleyball national team to miss Commonwealth Games due to lack of fans. Join me with the details after this commercial. In other main news in detail, over 500 households, including traders in Chakifaswa village of Chief Nalwama in Chikankata district, are experiencing a critical shortage. The area has one borehole which they use as the main source of water. In an interview, the residents explained that this has also negatively affected their economic activities that need water to thrive, as they spend most of their time lined up at the borehole. They have since proposed that part of the constituency development fund should be used to sink boreholes in the area.
While many parts in urban areas struggle with water blues, the situation is even worse in rural parts of the country, where having running water at home is still a far-fetched dream. Most villages depend on walking long distances to access river water or boreholes for those that have had these facilities drilled in the areas. This is Shachifa village under Chief Nalwama in Chikankata district of Southern Province, which is one of the areas where accessing water is still a challenge. According to the residents, over 500 households and traders depend on this one borehole, which was donated by the Islamic community in fulfilling their social corporate responsibility. As one can imagine, getting water here on most days is a challenge, as everyone is trying to get a share for their households and businesses. The residents say it is due to this that the matter should be handled with urgency.
The water crisis is affecting many economic activities here. We usually come here to line up for long hours, just waiting for our buckets to fetch. That to us is wasted time, as there are many other we could be doing. We need the current administration to look into the matter.
They have called for more boreholes to be drilled in the community using the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. We have had a water crisis for a long time now, as we only have one borehole. Our only hope now is in the new administration. Connecting all parts of the country to clean running water is one of the key components in eradicating waterborne diseases and other concerns that come about with a shortage of water. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
In a related development back here in Lusaka, where residents of Lilanda compound in Twikatane area are in danger of waterborne diseases owing to perforated water pipes that have left most of the area flooded. The residents explained that this situation has remained unattended to for over 1 month, as no works have been done to correct the situation, despite the matter being reported to the water utility company various times. A check by Camnet News in the area revealed bags of sand placed on some leaking areas as an initiative to stop the spillage, but this has not helped the situation, as some areas are completely impassable due to the floods.
This is not water that has remained stagnant from the just ended rain season, but water from the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company, which has failed to reach people's homes due to perforated water pipes. Concerned citizens in Twikatane area of Lilanda compound explain that water pipes are leaking in many areas of the community, but say the situation has not been attended to for over 1 month now, despite formal reports being made to the water utility company. One of the major concerns raised by the residents is the high risk of diarrhea and other waterborne diseases, as the water has become contaminated and yet is still mixing with water flowing from their taps.
These pipes stretch from the area called Rwapula in Lilanda. That is where the leakages are. And they flow past this area to Zingalume Road along Twikatane grounds. And we have had a lot of problems with these waters here. Number one is bills go an exorbitant way, especially when they bring their bills here because of the same spillages. Secondly is people that have their bins, they normally find a way to throw their bins just within the same peripherals of the waters. And thirdly also, we're experiencing a lot of stinking of the same garbage that is here, which is posing a health hazard to the people around this place. So issues of bilharzia and many other diseases will be very prevalent, I think, along the way, especially that kids normally use the same road as they go to school. And the marketeers also who come to the market for Monday market, Wednesday market and Friday markets use the same road.
Apart from having concerns about diseases, motorists too have been inconvenienced, as most of the area which already has a...
The way it is right now, because then our tapamaz within area, I mean, so our pipes are on that's the because as you can see, the water is very dirty. So now we don't know what it can even affect as a community forever.
Meanwhile, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company Public Relations Officer Mr. Nshamba Mzungu says the matter will be handled with urgency.
We have a team dedicated to, leakages and repairs. So the maintenance team is always going around to work on that as a way of avoiding wastage. We are in business, and so if we are producing water at a high cost, it means that we must ensure that all this water is channeled to our customers so that we don't lose money as a result of losing water from those leakages. So it is something that we take very seriously as a company. When we receive such a report, we promptly respond to that.
Sustainable Development Goal number 6 speaks to having easy access to clean water and sanitation for all by 2030. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Civil Servants and Allied Workers Union of Zambia General Secretary Mr. Makai has urged the government to ignore stakeholders in the labor movement, suggesting that giving pension access to civil servants before retirement will lead to them to destitution. In an interview, the Union General Secretary has called for stakeholders' meetings on the above subject, stating that pension reforms are vital and should not be rushed or taken lightly. The government has expressed interest in instituting pension reforms, which include introducing pre-retirement access to pension benefits, but some stakeholders, among them former Labour Minister Mr. Faxon Shamenda, has advised against this move.
Him being a labor leader, coming from the background of being a labor leader and having had that privilege to be Minister of Labor, he should have pushed the PF government again to make sure that the conditions of service for workers were made very, very, very attractive, so that workers were supposed to get conditions of service and salaries where they were supposed to start investing while they were still working, so that by the time they retired, these workers were going to be comfortable with whatever lead to pension was going to come. But the practical situation which is in Zambia now is these workers retire without, most of the workers retire without having anything. And therefore the proposed pension reforms, they need to be given time and consultation has to be there, so that at the end of the day, if pre-retirement pension is not possible, what other things should NAPSA do or bring on board who should push on the workers and make them to be free from poverty when they retire. Because what we need to do is, whilst we are still energetic, whilst we are still in employment, that's the time that we are supposed to invest.
Advocacy for Child Justice Executive Director Josephat Njovu says there is urgent need for concerted effort from stakeholders in ensuring that child trafficking is curbed in Zambia. Mr. Njovu says the country cannot continue relying on short-term measures in curbing vices the country has been facing. He believes introducing the child trafficking desks at all national entry points, coupled with a wider stakeholder consultation, will ensure that the initiative is actualized. He says such undertakings are critical to protecting children from vices such as child trafficking, which he says is slowly growing.
Which I think is a good thing, and then as an organization we are applauding such kind of efforts from the government to make sure that they keep the situation of child trafficking. Concerted efforts actually when it comes to dealing with trafficking. It's a big issue. It's not something that is we have to just deal with stopgap measures. No, but it's something that needs a comprehensive planning and concerted efforts from different stakeholders.
Former Civil Society for Poverty Reduction Board Chairperson John Nijimo has challenged the United Party for National Development administration to come up with short, medium and long-term strategies that are aimed at meeting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals number 1, 2 and 3 on reducing poverty and combating hunger in the country by the year 2030. Mr. Nijimo is of the view that no proactive steps have been taken to reduce poverty in the country and fears that if the new Dawn administration does not address the poverty levels in the country, they risk losing their popularity. He says despite initiatives that are being implemented, such as the constituency development funds, the need to be practical of delivering actions that are bound to reduce poverty and combat hunger is critical in achieving the 3 Sustainable Development Goals. Mr. Nijimo has suggested that there are urgent need for stakeholders to meet through a national endeavor and analyze the country's key economic indicators that provide solutions to reducing poverty and combating hunger.
India has not made a lot of headways towards this. The recent Human Development Survey indicate very clearly that we have only increased or improved by roughly about 0.9%, which is just like about 1% in terms of ending extreme poverty and ending hunger. So what we need to do as a government, what we need to do as stakeholders, what we need to do as civil society organizations and NGOs, we need to be very practical but also deliberate. Let us know that this is the plan we must be able to meet. What we want to suggest is that can all stakeholders be called back and let us relook at the key performance indicators for our plan in meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. Because there has been a change of government, so there's a possibility that we have kind of forgotten and relented on our efforts on ensuring that we are gaining momentum on attaining the Sustainable Development Goal number 1, 2 and 3. And so we would like to call on government to call for an endeavor. Let us refine the strategies. Let us refine the key performance indicators. Let us refine the plan, the action plan of how we must be able to put in place the strategies and implementation plan. So we're calling for a new implementation plan to accelerate the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals if we have to attain them in the year 2030.
Republican President of Zambia has arrived in the Kingdom of Eswatini at the invitation of His Majesty King Mswati III. President Hichilema notes that Zambia, just like Eswatini, is land-linked, and as such areas of trade and investment remain key. The head of state says this state visit is yet another illustration that of the United Party for National Development government's plan of looking within Africa for social, economic and political solutions. President Hichilema further notes that Zambia's success story will not be won alone, but by us all uniting, including working with people of the Kingdom of Eswatini, among other African countries. Mr. Hichilema's entourage include Minister of Tourism Rodney Sukumba and his counterpart for Commerce, Chipoka Mlenga, who were welcomed by Eswatini Prime Minister Cleophas Sifo Dlamini before meeting His Majesty King Mswati III. In other news, Kabushi Member of Parliament BOWMAN LUSAMBO'S application to CITE, United Party for National Development UPND Lusaka Province, Youth Chairperson Anderson Banda and other ruling party sympathizers for contempt has been dismissed. This is on grounds that the magistrate who received the plea has no authority to hear it. Lusaka resident magistrate Fides Hamaundu ruled that she could not grant legislature's application because their allegedly contempt never happened in the face of her courts. This is in a case where the Kabushi lawmaker BOWMAN Lusambo and his wife Nancy are accused of being in possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime, among other charges. The application by Mr. Lusambo is on allegations that when he appeared before the Economic and Financial Crimes Court last month, Mr. Banda and the UPND cadres wanted to attack them within the court premises where they allegedly caused confusion.
Embattled Kabushi Member of Parliament BOWMAN Lusambo has been denied chance to cite Lusaka's UPND Provincial Chairperson Anderson Banda for contempt of court. This came to light when Mr. Lusambo's lawyer, Makebi Zulu, filed an application that Banda and other UPND cadres be cited for contempt, alleging that they caused confusion at the Lusaka Magistrate Court last month when the Kabushi lawmaker BOWMAN Lusambo appeared before Economic and Financial Crimes Court. But Lusaka Magistrate Fides Hamaundu denied the application, saying contempt was not committed in the face of the court and the court was not aware about what was happening. In his application, Counsel Zulu alleged that the UPND cadres attempted to kill Lusambo and also victimized his wife, Nancy, who is jointly charged with Lusambo. Meanwhile, Lusaka Magistrate Fides Hamaundu ruled that the court has no jurisdiction and cannot predict unless the accused persons can raise the contempt of court proceedings through a complaint. Magistrate Hamaundu indicated that the alleged contempt raised by the accused persons was not committed in the face of our court to warrant summary proceedings against the alleged Mr. Banda and UPND cadres. In this matter, Mr. Lusambo and the wife Nancy are accused of possessing property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. Among other charges, allegations the duo pleaded not guilty to. The matter has been adjourned to 12, 13th and 26 July 2022 for continuation of trial. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News.
Patriots for Economic Progress leader Sean Tembo has charged that in as much as he supports the introduction of free education in schools, its implementation has been wrongly done by the current administration. Speaking when he featured on Camnet's TV program dubbed Economic Briefcase Thursday evening, Mr. Tembo says the free education policy in its current state is unsustainable. According to the opposition leader, not all pupils were supposed to have been included on the program. Mr. Tembo argues that some parents are well able to pay school fees for their children and says government should have used the comprehensive social welfare system to select those to be on the free education policy.
Where they believe in, giving free education. We support that, but the actual implementation we don't agree with, because the way they approach it is such that they believe that whether you can afford or you cannot afford to pay for your child, you are exempted. that is not sustainable, because you need to look at sustainability as well. They are people, you'll find that they were required to pay maybe 1,000 kwacha for their pupils at school. And you find that that is money they spend on a weekend. They don't mind paying that 1,000 kwacha. So why should you exempt them? You need to allow them to pay that. You should only help people who need to be helped. That way, you'll be properly utilizing, scarce national resources. So if I was the one running the affairs of this country, yes, I would still pursue the same policy of, universal education, free education. But the way I would implement it is that, I would come up with a comprehensive social welfare system to assess people. You assess household income. How many people work in this household? Does the husband work? Yes. How much is the salary? Does the wife work? Yes. How much is the salary? How much is the combined income? Or these people, their combined income is 20,000 kwacha. How many children do they have? They've got 2 children who they send to government school. If your combined monthly income is 20,000 and you have 2 children, surely you can afford to pay 500 kwacha per month for each of your children, isn't it? Yeah.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
We take risks every day, with some big things and some little things. Other risks are out of our control. But no matter what's important in your life, Savenda Insurance has got you covered. Whether it's for your home, vehicle, investments, or the people you love, you shouldn't have to worry about securing the future. Let us handle that. Since 2014, we have helped Zambians protect their health and personal property, offering peace of mind and fostering progress and development. Taking risks is what makes us grow. Insurance is what keeps us going strong.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the rest of the main news. Ministry of Agriculture Permanent Secretary Green Mbozi has assured avocado farmers in Zambia of government's full support in order to grow the sector. Speaking at the sensitization meeting on avocado production and market access requirement in Lusaka Friday, Mr. Mbozi says government is aware that farmers in the avocado value chain have been working alone because they had no trust in the previous government. And Seed Control and Certification Institute of Zambia representative Dr. Richard Chanda says there are different varieties of avocados on the market and has challenged avocado farmers to know the exact type of crop to grow before venturing in the business.
Hass avocados have been described as the next green gold of Zambia, owing to the fact that they fetch at a higher price on the international market. 16th April 2022, Zambia began a first export of Hass avocados into Europe with a first consignment of over 37 metric tons. The commencement of export came after the country met the phytosanitary requirements to export the fruit into Europe. And in order to improve the quality of avocados being produced in the country, the Ministry of Agriculture Friday held a sensitization meeting on avocado production and market access requirement in Lusaka, which was attended by various industry players in the avocado value chain as well as Ministry of Agriculture Permanent Secretary Greeny Mbozi. And speaking during a presentation on seed certification services and variety releases, Seed Control and Certification Institute of Zambia representative Dr. Richard Chanda encouraged the farmers to invest in time, knowing what type of Hass avocados to grow.
Avocado is also divided in so many groups. Like the variety Hass, I discovered that there's the Guatemala type, Mexican, and there are also hybrids. Now there are also new versions of Hass. There is Lambo Hass, there is a Hass, there are about 3. So if you are saying you are growing Hass, which Hass are you growing? One of the economic standards that avocado that is exported should have at least a minimum of 23% dry matter.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Agriculture Plant Quarantine and Phytosanitary Services Director Dr. Kenneth Msiska says government has started the process of regulating nursery seed growers to ensure that the right seeds are on the market, and says anyone found wanting will be penalized.
We are talking of a nursery man. Shall, before the 1st January of every year, take that into consideration. You need to apply and register your nurseries. Before the 1st January of each year, you need to apply for registration. So should the inspectors go around, and I'm happy that the permanent secretary is here, so that when it reaches this office, that there was one inspector who came and slashed my nursery, it's because it's in line with the regulation.
And Ministry of Agriculture Permanent Secretary says government is aware that farmers in the avocado value chain have no confidence in the government because they were neglected in the past.
It's the mistrust which might have developed over the years on our services as a ministry, as government over the years. And as a private sector, as farmers, you have decided to go your own way, because you felt the ministry had nothing much to offer. But I think, as you have heard from the presentations today, I think we have a lot of information, we have a lot of technical information which you need.
With one avocado fetching more than $1 United States on the international market, and with government will to support the sector, farmers in the country should take advantage of the green gold and make dollars out of it, which has the potential to transform the Zambian economy. Prudence Trotter, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Cultivating New Frontiers in Agriculture, an agricultural development organization, has trained inmates at Mazabuka Correctional Facility in aquaculture to impart them with entrepreneurial skills under its Farmer to Farmer project. 79 beneficiaries, among them inmates, former inmates and officers at the correctional facility, have been trained in aquaculture to empower them with skills that will enable them generate income. Mazabuka Correctional Facility Officer in Charge, Fred Mwaba, said the training was timely, especially for the inmates, as it had equipped the beneficiaries with skills they could use to earn a living once they rejoined the rest of the society. Speaking during the graduation ceremony of the beneficiaries in Mazabuka on Friday, Mr. Mwala said among the beneficiaries were 2 inmates who were pardoned during Africa Freedom Day on the 25th of May 2022, but they opted to continue with the training. CNFA Country Director Joyce Malasha says the training was the first of its kind, involving inmates, as previous training focused on training members of cooperatives engaged in aquaculture and horticulture. Mrs. Malasha was hopeful that the inmates who had been trained could continue sharing the knowledge and skills they had acquired even after they were released from the correctional facility. And Mazabuka District Commissioner Oliver Mulomba said government attached great importance to the agriculture sector as it played a key role in job creation. Meanwhile, Imenda Masialike, a former inmate, appealed to CNFA to extend the training in aquaculture to other inmates. Ms. Musialike said she was ready to implement the knowledge she had acquired from the training as she began a new chapter in her life. The Farmer to Farmer project under Cultivating New Frontiers in Agriculture is founded by USAID. In other news, the Gaming Association of Zambia has cautioned gaming business persons and gambling entities to operate within the laid-down procedures. Association General Secretary Darius Sinkamba says gambling entities and business persons of Bonanza slot vending machines should operate at designated places and shun from allowing underage children. He says Camnet News He tells Camnet News that Bonanza slot machines and gambling companies should not be designated near learning facilities and in shops as they pose a threat to degrading the morals of children, and explains that the association is implementing submissions that will provide a roadmap for how those in gambling businesses should conduct themselves. Mr. Sinkamba has, however, warned gambling companies to ensure all the regulations provided are followed to risk their business licenses being revoked, as random inspections are being rolled out countrywide to ensure that children are protected and provide an enabling environment that answers to the needs of the law.
Need to get concern in terms of how do we mold the future leaders, or how do we mold our children. It's a very attractive venture, and if the proper regulations are not put in place, you may discover that the future leaders, in terms of the youth in this case, are destroyed. But as Zambia Gaming Association, we've put in place regulations on the way to conduct and also protect the future leaders, and also to encourage people on how they can also try to exercise financial management from the income that they generate from the operation of the gambling industry. Our major concern is from those operators who display these slot machines outside the operating premises, for example, like shops, and sometimes other people in far places. They are placed near schools. If they are found operating outside the confinement of the law, our recommendation to the regulators or the institutions that are mandated for issuance of these certificates is to revoke their operating licenses.
United States Agency for International Development USAID Trade and Investment Hub has donated laboratory equipment worth 52,000 United States dollars to VetLab for improved efficiency and operations. Speaking during the handover ceremony in Lusaka Friday, USAID Zambia Agriculture Officer David Howlett pledged the United States of America, USA's commitment to partner with the Zambian government to support intra-regional trade. Mr. Howlett explains that the trade hub is designed to increase exports for South African countries and the USA under the African Growth and Opportunity Act. He says the hub is also targeted at boosting capital and technology flow from South Africa from South Africa to other South African countries and providing targeted trade facilitation support to Zambia. Mr. Hollett explains that donations are also aimed at strengthening the technical capacity of both public and private laboratories to efficiently perform sanitary and phytosanitary testing and export certification process for Zambian companies. Meanwhile, VetLab Business Development Manager Martin Kaluba has thanked USAID for the support.
Perfect. Other companies to be able to determine their nutritional composition in a product. So we have a couple of machines that determine different parameters like the Caltech.
Under the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, otherwise known as AGOA. Trade Hub supports tariff-free exports to the U.S. for qualifying countries from sub-Saharan Africa. Trade Hub is also boosting capital and technology flows from South Africa to other Southern Africa countries, and is providing targeted trade facilitation support to Zambia. USAID is partnering with the government of Zambia to strengthen bilateral and inter-regional trade by modernizing Zambia's trading systems and implementing the World Trade Organization Trade Facilitation Agreement protocols.
We take our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
We take risks every day, with some big things and some little things. Other risks are out of our control. But no matter what's important in your life, Savenda Insurance has got you covered. Whether it's for your home, vehicle, investments, or the people you love, you shouldn't have to worry about securing the future. Let us handle that. Since 2014, we have helped Zambians protect their health and personal property, offering peace of mind and fostering progress and development. Taking risks is what makes us grow. Insurance is what keeps us going strong.
Thank you for staying with us. Now getting into our international news. Vietnam has developed an African swine fever vaccine for pigs in partnership with the United States and is aiming to become the first global commercial exporter, an official said. The virus, harmless to humans, decimated hog population in Asia after it was detected in Vietnam in 2019, with millions of animals killed following outbreaks in Mongolia, Hong Kong and mainland China. Pork prices rose dramatically as a result, devastating global food chains, with Vietnam among the worst hit in Southeast Asia. In other news, Inflation in Zimbabwe has climbed above 100% for the first time since last June. It now stands at 131.7%. The levels of hyperinflation are hurting the local manufacturing industry, and there are concerns it could lead to joblessness. Here is a roundup of international news.
Vietnam has developed an African swine fever vaccine for pigs in partnership with the United States and is aiming to become the first global commercial exporter. Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Phuong Doc Tien on Wednesday described the production and commercial registration of the vaccine a historic event. Tien said from 2020, Vietnamese researchers worked with American scientists on the jab. Pork prices rose dramatically as a result of the announcement, devastating global food chains. The virus, harmless to humans, decimated hog populations in Asia after it was detected in Vietnam in 2019.
Running a business in Zimbabwe is tough. The constant uncertainty over the volatile Zimbabwean dollar doesn't help. To make matters worse, banks were recently ordered to stop lending with immediate effect. The central bank's temporary freeze on loans aimed to contain inflation and stabilize the economy. Entrepreneurs such as Wanda Manyozo panicked. His business supplies mining parts.
If I can get an order from the mine, it will be too big for me to handle myself. So I go to the bank and get what you call soft loan. I do the service, I do the job, I repay back my loan so that I will keep my business going. But when we heard the news, to us it was a big disaster because we can't do without the banks.
A few days later, the decision to stop lending was reversed and things went back to normal. But some economists say the damage was already done and dealt another blow to Zimbabwe's image internationally.
You expect more of this towards as they run up to the elections. So anyone who is thinking of Zimbabwe to lend money, we have to think twice. So we will remain excluded in the global financial system as a country until after the elections of 2023 in July.
Zimbabweans struggling to cope with hyperinflation are used to sudden announcements from the central bank. They know whenever there's a change in economic policy or banking rules, they can expect more hard times. Many people here don't have faith in the Zimbabwean dollar because of its rapid devaluation. They prefer American dollars, either to hold on to a security or spend on business transactions. But inflation keeps rising, and that's led to a big increase in prices of basic goods. To help consumers cope with the high cost of living, the government is allowing people to import goods such as cooking oil and sugar tax-free. But that's expected to affect the local manufacturing industry and lead to more job losses. The COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine is hurting economies worldwide. But maybe in Zimbabwe's case, policy inconsistencies could also be to blame.
They've been training for months, learning how to build playground equipment to international standards. It's part of a program sponsored by the Ministry of Labor. Nearly 30% of Libya's 6.8 million people are employed by the state, but the government is looking to save money by encouraging young adults to seek work in the private sector.
Salaries in the private sector are much higher than government jobs. With this certificate, I have a better chance to find work.
Mahmoud El-Futaisi heads the Economic and Social Development Board. He says Libya depends on oil exports for nearly all of its state revenue, but years of conflict have seen oil exports blockaded by armed groups several times.
The government's long-term strategic plan is to diversify and encourage the private sector. We're starting to change our economic policies to enhance the relationship between the public and the private sector. Seeing young Libyans learning skills and taking on jobs in various fields in the service market is a positive sign. We want them to stop depending on the state.
Although there aren't any proper statistics, the Ministry of Labor estimates the official unemployment rate in Libya to be around 20%, but higher among young people. Growth in small and medium businesses such as this shop has helped create job opportunities. Every morning, young workers at this bakery rush to fill their orders, supplying coffee shops and restaurants around Tripoli with sweets and desserts. Abdel Muhaymin El-Mattati says he hopes to open his own bakery one day.
I was looking for a government job, but learning a skill and joining the private sector was the best decision I ever made. Now I can get a job anywhere I want. I get paid on time, and thanks to God, I'm paid a good salary.
In previous years, jobs like these were taken by foreign workers, but many have left because of the instability. For some young people, such as Abdul Muhaymin, that's helped them find a career in unlikely places. Malik Traina, Al Jazeera, Tripoli.
We now get into our sports item. The Zambia Volleyball Association President Nakaonge Kakoma has expressed sadness on the national team to not participating in the forthcoming Commonwealth Games because of lack of sponsorship. In an interview with Camnet Sports, Kakoma says it is discouraging to the athletes that they will not take part despite advancing preparations ahead of the game. 2nd June 2022, Zambia's Minister of Youth, Sports and Art, Elvis Nkandu, reminded the nation that government will distribute equal resources to all sporting disciplines.
Most sports federations in the country fail to participate in international tournaments owing to lack of resources. However, 2nd June 2022, government assured sports federations that there will be equity in the distribution of resources to sports associations. Minister of Youth, Sports and Art Elvis Nkandu said his ministry will ensure that sport is developed to a level that will enable the country meet medals in all disciplines. Despite the assurances from government, there are some sports disciplines that won't be participating in the forthcoming Commonwealth Games because they did not participate in qualifying games due to lack of funds. Volleyball happens to be one of those sports. The Zambia Volleyball Association president had this to say.
To participate in the Commonwealth Games because we didn't have sponsorship. We were not sponsored to go for the qualifiers, so it was a bit difficult, challenging for us as an association to go and participate. So we didn't have sponsorship. That's why we failed to participate in the Commonwealth qualifiers. Otherwise, had we participated in the qualifiers, perhaps at this stage we could have been saying we've qualified and we are looking forward to prepare for the Commonwealth Games.
Kakoma says government should live to its promises of providing equal distribution of resources.
For equal share of the cake, because we know that football has been given a huge chunk, both ladies football and the Chipolopolo. So we are saying that even the minor sports should be given even just 1 million each. It will go a long way in us preparing for these international games that we are supposed to prepare for.
The upcoming edition of the Commonwealth Games will take place from July 28th to August 8th, 2022. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet Sports, Lusaka.
Still in sports, the Chipolopolo boys Friday, 3rd of June 2022 begin their Ivory Coast 2023 Africa Cup of Nations campaign with a titanic clash with the Elephant of Cote d'Ivoire at the Stade Yamoussoukro in a Group H fixture. Coach Arjoso Asanovic and his squad have been hard at work, including taking a 6-day working retreat in Accra, Ghana before crossing into Ivory Coast for the Group H opener. Skipper Enoch Mwepu will lead his troops with key support from other commanding personalities up front Fashion Sakala and Patson Daka. And Red Star Belgrade new coach Kings Kangwa Edward Chilufra Lubambo Msonda are expected to provide some verve in the Zambian setup. Ivory Coast will parade a galaxy of European best stars led by Ajax Amsterdam forward Sebastian Haller, Wilfried Zaha, Christian Colme, Abraham Sangare, Max Credo and AS Milan's Frank Kensey. In international sports, Real Madrid have asked for answers into the series of unfortunate events at the Champions League final against Liverpool in Paris on 28th May. They also want to know why the Stade de France was chosen for the game, who is responsible for leaving the fans abandoned and defenseless. The Spanish side won the final 1-0. However, the match was delayed by more than half an hour, and Liverpool fans have described heavy-handed policing, organizational chaos, and overcrowding at the showpiece game, which was moved to the Stade de France from St. Petersburg following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. French minister says only English fans posed problems. European football's governing body, UEFA, has commissioned an independent report into what happened at the final. French authorities have blamed ticket fraud and accused Liverpool Football Club of failing to control their fans, although it has also emerged that supporters were targeted by local gangs. Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Former CSPR chairperson predicts Zambia risks meeting SDGs on poverty reduction. President HH acknowledges that Zambia and Africa's success story needs unity. Court dismisses BOWMAN LUSAMBO'S application to cite UPND youths for CONTEMPT. And in international news, Vietnam develops new African swine fever vaccine. And in sports, volleyball national team to miss Commonwealth Games due to lack of fans. Before we go, our comment verse of the day is coming from the book of Romans 8 verse 6 to 7, and it reads, "For the mindset of the flesh is death, but the mindset of the spirit is life and peace. For the mindset of the flesh is hostile to God, because it does not submit itself to God's law, for it is unable to do so." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.